To many people, Julie Andrews will always be Mary Poppins. To many people, Julie Andrews will remain the singing Maria from the 1965 Sound of Music movie, and the late Christopher Plummer will remain the rigid Captain Von Trapp. However, before the two of them took on these legendary roles, there were others that had that privilege, but on Broadway, of course. Hi, I'm Toshi J, and welcome back to my channel where we explore the true history behind the musical.
Let's go. Yeah. You know who it is.
The musical The Sound of Music was written by Richard Rodgers with lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein II, and it first opened in 1959. It was set in 1938 Austria and told the story of Maria, who took a job as a governess to a widowed captain's 7 kids, while she contemplated whether or not she wanted to be a nun. Maria ended up loving the children as though they were her own and falling in love with and getting married to their father, all while she taught the kids to sing. Eventually, the captain got called by the German Navy, but didn't want to be part of the Nazis, so he and his new wife made plans to free Austria with their kids. The Broadway play was based on the 1956 West German movie Die Trapp Family, The Trapp Family, which was itself based on the actual story of the Von Trapp family as documented by the matriarch Maria Von Trapp herself in her 1949 memoir. There isn't much difference between the Broadway play and the German movie aside from the end. In the movie and the real story, the Von Trapp family flee to the United States to become established musicians. But at immigration, Maria makes the mistake of telling the inspector that the family plans to stay in the U.S. forever when he asks how long they'll be staying. Unfortunately, we don't know what happened after that, but anyone who has tried relocating knows how bad that answer can be, especially for the time period that this was happening. But anyway, the movie was a huge success in West Germany at the time, and the sequel, The Trapp Family in America, was made 2 years later. Both movies ended up becoming the most successful movies in post-war West Germany for many years, and to be honest, I could understand why. After that, their fame extended throughout Europe and into South America. However, Maria von Trapp's 1949 memoir, The Story of the Trapp Family Singers, is what all started, of course, and she almost didn't write it. In fact, she wasn't considering writing anything at all. It was one of her friends that encouraged her to write down the incredible story of her life. And after initially she refused, eventually she agreed. And I think we're all pretty grateful that she did write that story because it is fascinating. And she was probably also grateful that she did because her book became a bestseller at that time. The musical kept to the truth of the memoir for the most part, but of course, like musicals and movies in Hollywood tend to do, they took their own liberties. Maria did not come into Captain Von Trapp's home as a governess while trying to decide whether or not she wanted to be a nun. They did eventually get married, and they did eventually flee Austria to go to the United States with the entire family because they did not want to be under Nazi rule. However, Maria did not teach the kids to sing. They were already singers before she came into their lives, and good singers at that. Captain Von Trapp was not this rigid, aloof father that never spent time with his kids, which was something that the real Maria tried to change when she saw the private showing of the movie, but I guess they didn't want to listen to her because they just ignored her and chose not to change it to make him how he actually was. They didn't leave Austria in secret. They actually left by train. And by the time the family was fleeing Austria, Maria was pregnant with her 3rd child, bringing the number of Von Trapp children to 10. Godspeed. Not me. Speaking of children, both names and ages of the children were changed in the musical. In fact, there aren't that many, if any, similarities between the children in the musical and the children in her original memoir. And there was no Rolf, the telegram director the oldest daughter in the musical had fallen in love with in real life, or anybody that the character could have been based on at all. So, need a romance subplot. Make it interesting, I guess. That said, you don't need complete historical accuracy for a Broadway play to be a success. And The Sound of Music was a success. It opened in October of 1959 and closed in June of 1963 after 1,443 performances, winning multiple awards along the way, including 5 Tonys. It was praised for its simplicity and graciousness, but there were a few that thought it was too sweet. Whatever. That didn't stop the play from being revived a couple of times. The 1981 London revival even broke the record for British musical productions with the highest attendance figure for a single week. And the 1998 Broadway revival got nominated for a Tony for Best Revival of a Musical. Before those two, though, was the 1965 Hollywood musical movie of the same name. Richard Rodgers also produced the music for the movie, with the lyrics written by Oscar Hammerstein II as well. By November of 1966, The Sound of Music had become the highest grossing film of all time, beating out Gone with the Wind. And we know how big deal Gone with the Wind is with people, especially Gone with the Wind fans. And it held that title for 5 years. It received 5 Oscars and 2 Golden Globes, among many other awards and nominations. The Von Trapp family is a gift that just keeps on giving. It looks like every piece of literature that has been produced on their story has achieved nothing but success. And one can only wonder whether another adaptation of their story is in the works somewhere. Or at least a revival on Broadway, because, let's face it, future generations need to see some of these older Broadway musicals. It's only fair. But that being said, that's all I have to say about The Sound of Music, a musical that my brother and father absolutely hate because my mother made us watch it every holiday from the time we were kids, and so they can't stand it. Me, as a theater nerd, I still love it to this day. If you have seen The Sound of Music or have anything to say about The Sound of Music or anything with the history with Sound of Music, please let me know in the comments below. Did you have a family member that forced you to watch the movie every week? Or do you have any movie that you were forced to watch every year during the holidays or for any reason? My grandmother also forced us to watch Home for the Holidays every Thanksgiving, which that movie I can't stand anymore. But Robert Downey Jr. was great in it. Like this video if you enjoyed the content and if you would like to see more content like this, and subscribe to my channel to make sure you see more content like this. Hit that notification bell to make sure you get notifications when a video drops. Follow me on all my social media right here, which I forget to say every other video, but I'm saying it in this one, so it got said. And subscribe. I said that. Yeah. Okay, bye.